The Israel-Palestine conflict is one of the most enduring and complex conflicts in the world. It is rooted in competing claims to the same small strip of land. Both Israelis and Palestinians have deep historical, cultural, and religious ties to the region. For Jews, the land holds ancient significance as the biblical land of Israel. It is the place where their patriarchs are buried and their faith was born. After centuries of exile, the Zionist movement emerged in the late 19th century, aiming to create a Jewish state in their ancestral homeland. For Palestinians, the land has been their home for generations. They have built their lives and communities there. They see themselves as the descendants of the Canaanites and Philistines who inhabited the region long before the arrival of the Israelites. This shared history, filled with overlapping claims and narratives, lies at the heart of the conflict. It is a conflict where both sides believe their claim to the land is just and their connection is profound. The 20th century brought about significant changes to the region. World War I led to the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, which had ruled the area for centuries. The British, victorious in the war, gained control of Palestine. In 1917, the British government issued the Balfour Declaration, a document that would have far-reaching consequences. The declaration expressed British support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This declaration, while vague in its wording, fueled Zionist aspirations and angered the Arab population who made up the majority in Palestine. They saw it as a betrayal by the British, who had promised them independence. The British Mandate for Palestine, established in 1922, was meant to pave the way for an independent state. However, the mandate was plagued by violence between Jewish and Arab communities. Both sides felt their rights were being ignored. The British struggled to balance the competing demands of both populations. Their policies often exacerbated tensions. The stage was set for a conflict that would escalate following World War II. The horrors of the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered by Nazi Germany, strengthened international support for the creation of a Jewish state. The United Nations stepped in to find a solution. In 1947, the UN voted to partition Palestine into 2 states, one Jewish and one Arab. This partition plan was accepted by Jewish leaders but rejected by Arab leaders. They saw it as further dispossession of their land. The plan itself was also problematic, leaving the proposed Arab state with fragmented territory. Following the UN vote, violence erupted between Jewish and Arab communities. In May 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the independence of Israel, fulfilling the Zionist dream. The Arab-Israeli War of 1948-49 ensued, with neighboring Arab states joining the conflict. The war resulted in a decisive victory for Israel, which expanded its territory beyond the UN partition line. The war also led to a humanitarian crisis. Over 700,000 Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes, becoming refugees. This event, known as the Nakba, or catastrophe in Arabic, remains a deeply traumatic event in Palestinian memory. The decades following the 1948 war saw ongoing tensions and conflict between Israel and its Arab neighbors. In 1967, these tensions culminated in the Six-Day War. The war, triggered by a series of escalating events, was a resounding victory for Israel. In just 6 days, Israel captured the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This war dramatically altered the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. It also left Israel in control of territories inhabited by a large Palestinian population. The occupation of these territories, particularly the West Bank and East Jerusalem, would become a major point of contention in the following decades. The Six-Day War also led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. It further entrenched the refugee problem and deepened Palestinian resentment. The war's legacy continues to cast a long shadow over the region. Section 5. Walls of mistrust, security concerns, and the need for recognition. At the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict lie deep-seated security concerns on both sides. These concerns are intertwined with the need for recognition and historical narratives. For Israelis, security is paramount. Surrounded by hostile neighbors and having faced multiple wars, they feel an existential threat. They see the need for a strong military and defensible borders as essential for their survival. The trauma of the Holocaust, where Jews were systematically murdered, also weighs heavily on the Israeli psyche. There is a strong sense that the world stood by while they were persecuted. This history fuels a determination to never be vulnerable again. Palestinians, on the other hand, experience the daily realities of occupation. They face restrictions on movement, land confiscation, and military raids. Their lives are impacted by checkpoints, settlements, and the separation barrier. For them, security is linked to ending the occupation and achieving self-determination. They seek recognition of their suffering, their history, and their right to a state of their own. They want an end to what they see as a system of discrimination and injustice. Section 6, The Weight of History, the Challenges of Achieving Peace. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a Gordian knot of intertwined issues, each layered with historical baggage and competing narratives. It's a conflict where both sides hold legitimate grievances. This makes finding a just and lasting peace incredibly challenging. One of the main obstacles is the issue of settlements. Since 1967, Israel has been building settlements in the occupied West Bank, which are considered illegal under international law. These settlements, and the infrastructure connecting them, fragment the West Bank and make a contiguous Palestinian state difficult to achieve. The status of Jerusalem is another major stumbling block. Both sides claim Jerusalem as their capital. The city, holy to Jews, Muslims, and Christians, is at the heart of the conflict, both politically and religiously. The right of return for Palestinian refugees is another highly contentious issue. Millions of Palestinians live in refugee camps in neighboring countries, holding on to the hope of returning to their ancestral homes. Israel rejects this right, fearing it would undermine its Jewish demographic character. The question of security is also paramount. Israel wants guarantees that a future Palestinian state will not pose a military threat. Palestinians, on the other hand, want an end to the occupation and the ability to control their own borders and security. Section 7, the global stage, international actors and peace efforts. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has long been a focal point of international attention. Various actors have played a role in trying to mediate the conflict and broker peace agreements. The United States, as Israel's closest ally, has been a key player in the peace process. Successive US administrations have attempted to bring the two sides together with varying degrees of success. The United Nations has also been actively involved, providing humanitarian aid, deploying peacekeeping forces, and passing resolutions related to the conflict. The UN's position, however, is often criticized by both sides. The European Union, Arab states, and other international organizations have also been involved in diplomatic efforts. The quartet, comprising the UN, US, EU, and Russia, was formed in 2002 to help facilitate peace negotiations. Despite numerous peace initiatives, summits, and agreements, a lasting solution remains elusive. The Oslo Accords, signed in the 1990s, raised hopes for a two-state solution, but the process ultimately stalled. The underlying issues of settlements, Jerusalem, refugees, and security continue to be major obstacles. Section 8. The long road ahead towards a shared future. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is a complex and multifaceted issue with no easy solutions. It is a conflict fueled by historical grievances, competing narratives, and deep-seated mistrust. However, despite the challenges, the pursuit of peace remains essential. Finding a way for Israelis and Palestinians to live side by side in peace and security is not only a moral imperative, but also crucial for the stability of the entire region. It requires empathy, understanding, and a willingness to compromise on both sides. Dialogue, however difficult, is the only path forward. Both sides must be willing to listen to each other's concerns, acknowledge past injustices, and work towards a shared future. This requires courageous leadership and a commitment to peaceful coexistence. The international community also has a vital role to play. It can provide support for peace initiatives, encourage dialogue, and hold both sides accountable for their actions. It can also help address the humanitarian needs of those affected by the conflict. The road to peace is long and arduous. It will require patience, perseverance, and a belief in the possibility of a better future. Only through dialogue, compromise, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence can a just and lasting solution be found.